welcome back to our birthday show. Now, we're looking back at 1968 and the last swing of the swinging 60s. It was a time when Calendar itself was a baby, and these two were just out of nappies. One of them was in hot pants, and the other of them thought he was Robin Hood, would you believe?
You want writing?
A lot, love.
What are they? Tell me and I'll write them for you.
Huh?
Tell me what they are and I'll write them for you.
Marriage, for a start.
Oh, I don't think we can do anything about that. Excuse me, madam. Excuse me. I'm robbing the rich to feed the poor.
Oh, I thought you were Robin Hood.
Excuse me. My name's Robin Hood and I help damsels in distress. Are you in distress?
No, but it's like to be.
Song the roll along my way with a hey-derry-die and a derry-die-do and a riddle-dee-diddle-dee-day.
Not good. Thought I might find little John in there.
Well, we did some daft things. Rather, you did some daft things. What do you remember? I mean, those two things are pretty daft. What strikes you as the daftest thing you did?
Well, I did all kinds of weird things. I think partly because they wanted to stop me being too plumb in the voice. They used to send me to do the craziest things. I don't wonder. I remember they sent me to climb on the outside of a house in Sheffield with a mountaineer. And I once had to dress up in my best suit and jump into an ice-covered pond in Spalding, I remember. It was all very strange.
What about you?
Well, I remember the night we had an elephant, which was free because it was on a zoo programme, and you and I were sat introducing the programme, and the idea was that Bradford Police were selling off 7,000 police whistles, which were draped round my neck, and the idea was I'll blow one. Say, in the old days, when you blew this, a policeman would come. Now what happens when you blow it? And I would blow it, and the elephant was sort of going to leap on. And I knew as I blew the whistle nothing was going to happen because they were trying to pull the elephant on and it was going the other way. So I gave you a whistle and asked you to blow. Nothing happened. So we gave up the item after about 5 minutes. People must have wondered what the hell was going on. And then they started a discussion, which was a round table discussion. And in that discussion, the elephant actually did decide to come on. And people started moving round the discussion table like this to get away from the elephant. And at the end, it left a microphone pointing at the elephant, which began to pee very loudly.
I mean, a lot of the stuff, of course, has gone into the ether forever, but I remember you with a one-man band.
Yes.
Trying to be a one-man band. Unbelievable.
Well, that was a disaster, because you had a drum on your back, and every time I bent down to pick up one of the drumsticks, which you'd got, the thing would roll over and strangle you, and the wretched director wiped the tape the next day. I could have been a Conservative MP, you see, with that.
Well, it has to be serious, actually. I mean, on the very second day we were on the air, the Tuesday, after the Monday, the Tuesday, there was a very serious fire in Ilkley, the Ilkley Moor Hotel, with many deaths, and which you went out to report. I mean, you know, you couldn't really have had a bigger story than that for your second day.
We were somehow able to do the serious stories, and we covered a lot of them over the years, of course, and the very silly ones, and somehow people put up with all that and enjoyed it. I mean, I used to go flying with Anita Harris like Peter Pan and things like that.
OK, well, of course, you'll all have realised there's Simon here, there's Austin here. One person who's not here is Liz Fox. She can't be with us in the studio in Leeds because of family illness, but she's in the studio in Bristol. Liz.
Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Apparently, catsuits are really in this season, and there are going to be no more miniskirts because hemlines are meant to be dropping. But what about the British experts? I wonder what they say in Carnaby Street. Oh, I nearly forgot. Carnaby's a little village just outside Bridlington. I walk down the lane, oh, with a happy refrain. I'm singing, just singing in the rain. Well, what's everybody wearing in Carnaby Street this season?
Well, they're wearing the same dress as you, the girls.
Yes.
And the old people, of course, they're the old-fashioned
What would you describe the way you're dressed at the moment?
Oh, I should think I'm a bit of a teddy boy. Come here, darling.
Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. I'm singing, just singing in the rain. Can you do a soft shoe shuffle? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay, yeah, well, that's it. And Liz, as I say, can't be with us sadly in the studio here, but she is in Bristol. She's very much alive and kicking, as we shall see. Let's now link up with Bristol. So, hello, Liz Fox. Well, hi, Liz. How are you?
I'm fine, Richard. How are you?
Well, we're great. I must say, you look about 20 years younger than most of us here.
Oh, I don't know. It's the monkey glands, I'm told.
Do you remember that Singing in the Rain?
I do. It was a no news day, and I can remember being in the newsroom and saying, "What on earth are we going to put on the programme tonight?" And we looked out of the window, and it was raining. And I said, "Well, let's see if we can actually get people in Leeds to stop and sing a song." And it was amazing. Everybody did, and it was great fun. And I think it's one of the things that people remember most of all.
Oh, they certainly do, yeah. Of course, we tend to think those were the great old days, but they were fairly horrific as well, weren't they, some of those things we used to do?
Well, I suppose so, although I still think they were the great old days. We were living off adrenaline. It was a brand new programme, and we were all very anxious to be loved, if not liked, by everybody. I found it tremendously challenging. It was a good time. The 60s were a good time for me, and I think the other very important thing was that we were all very close together. We had to work closely together, and, well, I know we've all remained friends, which I think was important too.
Now, what everyone wants to know, because they keep asking me, whatever happened to Liz Fox? Here you are in Bristol. What are you doing these days?
I'm doing lots of things. I formed my own company with my husband, and I'm now making video programmes and doing a lot of consultancy for the National Health Service. I've made about 68 programmes for the National Health Service, I think, over the last 6 years, enjoying my work very much. And I'm working with my husband, Chris. And what else has happened? My children are growing up. I've got a 13-year-old boy who's taller than me, and a daughter called Laura, who's 12, who apparently looks like me.
Well,
she's even into miniskirts now.
I remember your miniskirts. Who can forget your miniskirts and those fantastic thighs, Liz?
Well, they were quite dangerous.
Liz, we have to go. We have to get on. But just give us a quick message to everyone here who's watching you tonight.
Well, I send you lots of love, and I hope you have a smashing party tonight. And I wish I could be with you, but thank you for letting me come just for a moment. Bye-bye.
OK, bye, Liz. Thanks very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
OK, that's Liz. Nice to see you. You've seen clips from Liz, you've seen clips from Simon, you've seen clips from Austin. What about yours truly? Well, of course, you might forget, but in those days, I was the young, thrusting, aggressive, investigative reporter, like this. If old superstitions are anything to go by, you might think that Mr. and Mrs. Jack Percival would be among the luckiest people in Yorkshire, because outside their cottage in Aysgarth in North Yorkshire, they have a small but highly fertile crop of four-leaf clovers. And every day during the summer, they come out and painstakingly go through the clover patch to reap that day's harvest. Well, let's see how they're getting on today.
Well, I've got about 20.
This is the village of Sawywood, about 5 miles from Halifax. It's a nice little village of about 500 people, with some pleasant views across the Pennines. But there is one drawback, and that's that for the last 7 years, it's been a dry village. Well, this state of affairs wasn't good enough for one man, particularly as his father had been landlord of the Hare and Ham. So he decided to take matters into his own hands and to build a pub of his own for himself. Mr. Dyson, at the moment, you own a milk round business. Why should you suddenly want to go and build a pub?
Well, I agree it's contrary to what I'm already doing, but some 7 years ago, the local public house in the village was closed, and since then, I personally and the villagers have felt that there was a need for another public house in the village. And so with their support and my initiative, shall I say, we have set about building this new pub.
OK, well, the man who built that pub is Harold Dyson. Harold's with us here, looking rather, well, you look very fit and well, Harold. And the pub is not looking too bad either. It's still standing for a start, and I'm told the beer's not too bad. And there it is, the Airborne, it's now called. And it looks a marvellous edifice there. And that's the inside view. It looks terrific, Harold. So all is well with your pub, that great story that we did together.
Yes, all's well, Richard. It's been a very successful venture. And I wouldn't have liked to think that I'd missed doing it. I think I was one of the first.
Yeah.
Many people have done it since, but to be the first is something.
We've obviously, all of us have interviewed a lot of people, and quite frankly, we don't remember all the people we've interviewed. But if someone's just been interviewed once in their life, they do remember the interview. Do you remember that interview and that programme?
I don't, frankly. I remember it well, Richard.
What happened that day?
Well, I had a milk round at the time. I had a milk business. And I was delivering in Halifax, and about 10:30 in the morning, I used to stop for a break. And I was in the cafe this particular morning, and someone came in, which turned out to be you. It's Harold Dyson in here. And you said, I want you to come home straight away and do a interview for the pub you're building. And
the rest was history.
Well, the rest was history. It got built, and
doing very well.
I'm quite happy about it.
Okay, well, Harold, it's good to see we've tracked you down after 20 years. Thanks very much indeed. Just to prove I was an investigative reporter, I found you in your milk round, didn't I?
You did, sir. That's quite
true. Okay, time plays a lot of tricks, of course, with memory. Now, a lot of people think that Calendar's original opening music was this. Okay, well, that actually was not the original opening music of Calendar. Anyone here know what the original music of Calendar was 20 years ago? Oh, come on. Well, of course. The opening music is, in fact, called Vigoroso. And we have a man here who called it pompous, among the other things he said about Calendar. We'll hear from him soon. But here now is Calendar's original music with pictures from 1968 of some people who've become very important at Yorkshire Television. Well, you know, some of those faces, of course, I've seen some today, but some of those faces are now names too holy to mention. People really very senior in the organisation. So, now, while Calendar was getting on its feet in 1968, this man here was watching very carefully. He is James Towler, who at the time wrote for The Stage and Television Today, a very influential magazine in our business, and he had a few choice things to say. According to Mr. Towler, Calendar has got off to a dismal and at times farcical start. It appears flat and lacks a sense of purpose. But a year later, Mr. Towler wrote this. Calendar has improved beyond recognition. The overall team is, I believe, basically sound. Right, now why that first one, farcical, and how dare you say something like that from your beloved Yorkshire?
Well, I think it was fair comment at the time, Richard, that it did get off to a very uneasy start. I believe it was Ron Boyle of the Daily Express who described the programme as Colander, the programme with the holes in it. But, you know, and then there was the classic night when Anita Harris was kidnapped, when everything went wrong. And I think that was a night that Austin came in and sort of tried to hold the show together and did a bit of ad-libbing. And from that moment, the show began to take off, and with you and him at the helm, it went from strength to strength.
So a year later, you were able to mellow your views. It was a little better a year later.
Oh, it had improved beyond all recognition.
Due entirely, of course, to Mr. Austin Mitchell.
Well, and a lot of other people as well. I don't think we should give him all the credit.
What do you think about it in 1988, if you're still writing for The Stage?
Oh, it's a very good programme.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Check's in the post. Now, OK, that's James Towler. We forgive you all, James. Doing well in your railway work as well. Train to leave on time. Now, still to come, we have your views on decimal currency, which was in 1979, and we have those dastardly ferrets.